One team at the top of the National League West, the other team at the bottom of the National League West. One of those things was expected. The Padres off to a hot start. Will it maintain through the season? And will the Rockies be their kryptonite yet again?
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock On Rockies fans and Padres fans, welcome into a Locked On MLB crossover event, a thing that used to be cool until the Marvel Universe brought it to the mainstream and popularized it and made everyone way more confused about what they all are. This is where we get two of the brightest minds in the Locked On MLB universe and bring them together to talk baseball for you all and your enjoyment here. Thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day. You can find us free and streaming on your favorite streaming services, but the best way to support the shows is by finding us on YouTube, the Locked On Rockies and Locked On Padres YouTube channel, where you can go and like the videos, fire off your Rockies and Padres hot takes in the Locked On comments section down below. Let us know what's on your mind when it comes to these two teams. Two teams going in very different directions. And Javi, you got to be excited for the way things have started for your San Diego Padres. Give me the lowdown on what's been going down with the Padres here so far in 2025.
Dude, let me tell you, I mean, literally the best start in franchise history, the 6-0 start, and then they actually made it to 7-0, tripped up a little bit against the Cubs, had a little bit of a weird game this week that I am realizing now that I definitely got a little first world problems. You know what I mean? Where I was just like, it was a bad day, right? If anybody who doesn't remember, I did it this week for the everydayers out there. Jackson Merrill heading to the IL, Jake Cronenworth and Tatis all hurt in the same game, and Dylan Cease had the worst start of his career. But I should have been like, whoa, still calm down. It doesn't seem like they're out for too long, but that is a storyline for what it's worth. Just to, I guess, transition into it is that we'll have to see. As of the time of us recording, it is expected that Fernando Tatis Jr. and Jake Cronenworth, I should say, there's optimism that they'll be back for the series, but that will affect things tremendously with Jackson Merrill on the IL. This is a team that had 12 hits against the A's, against just their two, but they only won by 1 run. This is a lineup that is still figuring some things out. In my opinion, they have some people that are, dare I say, a little bit washed up, maybe in the case of Yuli Gurriel, Jason Hayward, but I think overall this has been an electric start to the season, man. And for what has been just a fun baseball season so far. I'm so happy it's back.
Well, I think it depends on who you ask if it's been a fun baseball season so far. Things a little more frustrating. Padres fans might not be surprised to see the Rockies in the bottom of the standings, but this is a team that can't hit. They broke out now in 2 back-to-back series finales as we're recording after the Rockies did escape the sweep against the Brewers before heading to San Diego here, where the offense comes alive late. Again, they escaped the sweep, but it's a team that was going into the game was outscored 24-3, I believe, in the 2 games against the Brewers, and a team that let the A's come in and do damage as well. Now the Rockies are going on the road against the San Diego team that is yet to lose at home this season, currently undefeated at home there at Petco. And then what do the Rockies do? They get to go to where everyone wants to go play, LA, where they also, as of recording this, have not lost at home yet. So the Rockies have so much work to do. And honestly, there's some flashes and some excitement, but there's a lot of stuff to be very frustrated about with the Rockies here. So one of the benefits of this series could be the fact that the Rockies and the Padres, it's weird. They're the only matchup the Rockies have where you can sit there and say, by the weirdness of the matchup, by the weirdness of baseball, the Rockies can win this series. But I got to tell you, my confidence level in this being a very successful series for the Rockies is not very high. Unfortunately, even with an exciting win here to finish off, I'm pretty soured by this start here. You mentioned best start in franchise history for the Padres. The Rockies, worst start in franchise history, at least tying it, and I believe continuing at that. So another year in the beginning part of the season in which the Rockies are setting the wrong type of history. Last year, the amount of games trailing at the same in a row. I'm totally drawing a blank on the word there. But anyway, trailing in 30 plus games to start the year. Opening day blowing up completely in their face. I mean, and going back, and that's all on the heels of you lost 100 games the season before that. So now it's back-to-back 100 lost seasons. worst start in franchise history. Offense that's not doing much. That's betrayed a starting rotation that this week was their rough week. Most of the starters this week kind of struggled. Kyle Freeland and Antonio Senzatella going through it. Ryan Feltner escaping some crazy situations in the finale as well. But it's not really, I guess the more the surprise is the Padres are at the top of the division. To hear that the Rockies are stuck in the mud and struggling, I don't think you're that surprised to hear, Javi.
No, I'm not. But what I am is happy that at least that there's something to look for. I mean, we've made jokes. I mean, I've made a lot of jokes at the very beginning about, like, I really do believe that something is in the air in Colorado and that they have achieved an enlightenment that I genuinely think the rest of us as a society should achieve, which is to stop viewing things in a binary, very primitive win or lose sort of results. Right. And instead they're like, we're going for beer, man. We're going for the vibes. We like saying hi to the dinosaur guy. He looks so friendly and cuddly. And they're always at least much more up there in attendance and interest than a team that has underperformed, not even underperformed, just has been as bad as them, have had such a terrible owner in Dick Monfort. And then on top of that, traded their franchise legend for basically nothing. Like, I need to visit Colorado. I need to know what's going on. I have some theories regarding why maybe people in Colorado are a little bit more happy than others. But overall, this has been a team that, you still got some young players, though, right? I don't understand the Nolan Jones move, frankly, and I imagine you've talked about that on your show, but you've still got, Ezekiel Tovar, right? You've still got Ryan McMahon, who's been a little bit of a better player over these past few years. Brenton Doyle, like, you've still got some talent and a pitching prospect. That's always fun for the Rockies, right? Because that is something that they have lacked even when they were good, which is a top level type of starter, or at least just good starters, right? So I just think that it seems like you're slowly dragging yourselves out of the mud. You're
right.
slowly crawling up there. You're kind of getting out. The Wolverine healing factor. It's still at the point where he's regenerating from like one cell, but there's still at least one cell left. You know what I mean? So I'm just excited for to talk, as always, about Rockies Padres. But you're not wrong. Just to read, I mean, last year the Padres had one of their best seasons in the entire AJ Preller regime, and they still didn't play go well against the Rockies. 5-8 on the season. 2023, the disappointing season for the Padres, was actually one of the few seasons they did well against the Rockies, 9-4. But then 2022, what was their record, Paul? What do you think was their record?
Ooh, they were really good. If I remember, actually, like you can kind of make an argument in 2022, the Rockies were the reason the Padres, I believe, didn't make the playoffs.
They did make the playoffs. It's 21 you're thinking of. In 2022, they went 9-10 against the Rockies, right? Because this is the last year
before they changed the schedule.
Before they changed the schedules up and whatnot. And then in 2021, they went an astounding 8-11 against the Rockies. Like, so basically just 2023, which was one of the most disappointing seasons of, like, not just franchise history, but in the recent history of baseball, which is how poorly they performed when it mattered the most. They've only really had one good season stretch against the Rockies. I don't know what it is. And that's not like an insult against the Rockies. They're just not that great of a team that you should be going 5-8 against them, that you should be 4 games below 500 against them, right? And some of those games have been weird, with weird walk-off shots. Like, I don't know what's going on in Colorado, but they hate us. And us Padres fans, we don't have hate. We're just like,
you guys still don't think Matt Holiday touched home plate, so
I know.
We still have to deal with that.
I take that back. Actually, maybe there's a little bit of hate. Yeah,
but it's interesting you mentioned this here, and I think that the big thing that why it's a talking point, why it sticks out, the Rockies get crushed by the NL West. Everyone else dominates the Rockies. It's not. I mean, the Diamondbacks, it used to go back and forth, especially when, before they were, becoming one of the best run teams in baseball, depending on how you look at it. But it's the Dodgers dog walk. It's the Giants, the Giants. Oh my God. I hate it. When they're there, the Dodgers, like, you can kind of know, but it's like, I despise seeing San Francisco, and I despise when they have to go to San Francisco. You're telling me a weak offense has to go to the most pitcher-friendly environment against the team that has a history of just absolutely controlling them. But it's fascinating that it's the Padres. And again, I don't think that's going to be as much of a problem this year. I mean, again, the weirdness, if the Rockies do pull off a series win this weekend, that highlights how weird this series is, because that shows that means that something has awoken within the Rockies. They possibly could be rebounding and something like that. This is a team's got 3 wins on the year. This is a team that has been outscored mightily. This is a team that's offense. I think that a lot of people are, they hear Rockies, they think offense, but they don't understand that the offense has not been a strength for the Rockies really since, even after Arenado, they still had Story and they were still a pretty good offense the following season before Trevor Story left. But since then, it has been a long time coming. But you're going to hear there's 2 really exciting names that I want to let Padres fans know about, because I'm pretty positive they're going to be seeing both of them. Hopefully, they're seeing both of them, because the Rockies made 2 huge call-ups this week and a couple of big debuts for the Rockies. We're going to dive into that, and I want to learn a little bit more about those injuries, because that's a huge, huge storyline going into this series as well. We're going to do that coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Padres and Locked On Rockies. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes Supply House. Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades. Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with the complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400 plus top brands, you'll find exactly what you need, delivered fast from coast to coast. If you need help with an order, Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it's your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, when you use the promo code SH5, that's promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order at supplyhouse.com. Locked On Rockies, Locked On Padres, coming back at you here for segment number 2 of this crossover episode. And before, I was telling you about 2 names that you got to keep on your mind here. 2 young guys, Chase Dollander and Zach Veen, the 2 promotions here for the Colorado Rockies going into this week. You were mentioning the exciting pitching prospect, Javi. That is Chase Dollander, the Rockies' #1 overall prospect, makes his MLB debut and gets a win. One of the Rockies' 3 wins was when he was on the bump. Little bumps and bruises. He kind of got the course field experience. A couple of balls launched very far, as that tends to happen there at 20th and Blake. But then the Rockies also calling up outfielder Zach Veen. You mentioned the Nolan Jones trade. When this happened, I thought that, this is paving the way for Zach Veen. And then Zach Veen didn't make the team to start the season. The Rockies struggle out the gate. They bring Veen up. He plays in all 3 games against the Brewers, and I think they're going to continue to let him see what he can do, as he has a big double. Not really setting the world ablaze there in his first start, but showing the right type of stuff you want to see from a young guy making their debut if they're not, immediately having an impact. Hustling, excitement, kind of showing some moments where the nerves were big, but a little bit also, taking some pitches, getting a walk, and being an aggressive ball player. So those will be some names that you'll be probably hearing for the first time this weekend. I believe Dollander should be getting the second game as long as the Rockies don't make any moves beforehand here. He should be pitching after German Marquez, but you never know. I guess
I like how you say that. It's like, crazier things have happened, right?
They could give him the 1 start. They could bring him back down and bring up somebody else, or, who knows? Because Austin Gomber, the only player remaining on the Colorado Rockies from the Nolan Arenado trade, currently starting the year on the IL. So the Rockies are going with Chase right now, the exciting prospect to fill that spot while Gomber recovers to get himself ready to rock. But we'll see. Maybe Chase will force his way in there. And one great way to make an impression would be to go into San Diego and shove against the Padres.
Look, the Padres can struggle sometimes against guys sort of making their debut. Infamously got no hit by the D-backs, Mr. Tyler Gilbert, in his literal major league debut, which I really do not think is discussed enough. I think that is just so absolutely crazy. And then, in general, this is a Rockies team, as we discussed in the first segment, that's been really good against the Padres. And I would be nervous about it. I think that this Padres team, I've been saying for years, like, okay, at some point they're just going to beat the Rockies. Like, this isn't going to be right a law of averages, and in this case, a law of above average, because this is a below average team as currently constructed, and yet they don't. Right, like even last year, I cannot get over that. Even last year, they didn't have a good record against them. Although I do believe that they had a couple like late game wins, which was something which I appreciate.
Yeah, the Rockies bullpen was atrocious last year, and hasn't been one of their biggest strengths going into this one. But you mentioned the injuries here, Javi, and I mean, those are pretty big names to be going down with injuries, but are they like season altering, or like, we can, or like these are maybe some things like, hey, we can work it out, take it easy, it's April, we got time?
That's what it looks like. I think that the one that I'm less concerned about is Jake Cronenworth. He got hit by a pitch in Sunday's game last Sunday, of course. Hit his kidney. It looked like it was just one of those really painful moments. And then swinging the bat, he probably, tweaked his back a little bit on the swing. These guys are super athletes. You know what I mean? They're putting a lot of force into things. And he was probably like, ow. Ow. No, this isn't fun. I don't want to play. No, I'm kidding. He didn't say I want to play. But that's the vibe that I get from Jake Cronenworth. With Tatis, he's like, I ain't going on the L, all this stuff. And I'm like, hot take, don't believe you. Sorry, man. I need to see you in the lineup first, because Tatis, of course, that has been the story. On top of the PED suspension and motorcycles and being the bat flip king and being on the cover of MLB The Show, injuries has been the story of Fernando Tatis Jr. And this year, he really does look like the prior to PED suspension and prior to, frankly, a downfall of sort in the public opinion of Tatis. A lot more patient at the plate. Right, he's letting the pitches come in. He's drawing walks. He's not striking out as much, and he's still a great player. Even last year and the year before, he was still very good. But he just looks like it's there. Like the MVP potential might be there. But I don't believe him. Right, he hurt himself on a swing with his surgically repaired shoulder that he had, obviously surgery for a couple years back, and a couple years back in the 2021 season, he got hurt just swinging the bat, rather infamously. I believe it was against the Dodgers. He famously went down right on top of the plate and all that stuff. So I don't believe him, but I will say that the Padres, it does seem that the vibe is like, okay, we just got to be really, really careful. And I'm expecting, hoping, whatever you want to call it, that he's back in the lineup this weekend. But those injuries are huge, because as of right now, do you know who Oscar Gonzalez is? Do you know who Brandon Lockridge is? Do you know who Yuli Gurriel is? Yes.
That one, yes.
Derogatory, though, right? Like, not good. Not good. So this is a Padres lineup that desperately needs it. As I mentioned the first series, the fact that they out-hit their opponent 12-2, but they just couldn't bring in runs with the bottom of that lineup is a problem. I expect at some point in the season that this will change. I do not think the team, despite their insistence on having washed up veterans, despite the fact that you could just give the young guys and the minors a try, what else do you have to lose? Yuli Gurriel has had a below 90 WRC plus for like 3 straight years. It's okay if you don't give the 40-year-old a giant leash. I expect some changes to be made. But as of right now, that's the story for this weekend. I think that we could see a world in which the Rockies continue their kind of just hatred, dare I say, their just immense hatred of the San Diego Padres if Tatis, Cronenworth, and of course, obviously Merrill, who is on the IL officially, aren't available in this series. We've seen a little bit of that bottom of the lineup struggle.
Would you say Tatis kind of falls into the Julio Rodriguez category of like guys, they're studs? Like, listen, I understand, like, I being in the Seattle area, I've gotten to see a little bit more Julio. Like, I understand the concerns, but it's like when they are at their best, there's an argument that there are very few, if any, better than them. Would you say that this is a year for Tatis? Obviously, the health is number one. I think a lot of people would be great with a, solid, maybe all-star case, because he's got the star power name and everything and that type of stuff. But he plays 140 games for you. I think that might be the bigger 100. He contributes and is a positive player for 140 games. I think sounds like that's what Padre fans want to hear. But I think zoom out a little bit more, baseball as a whole, they might see an average Tatis season and just kind of roll their eyes and be like you said, all of the backstory, all of the baggage, quote unquote, with him overshadows that.
It's possible. It's possible. But I really do think that, first of all, I think fans should get over it. And it's funny that you bring up like kind of the baggage, because I've discussed on my show ad nauseum that I think people who, let's call it pearl clutch over PEDs, but then like other players are just vibing in the league. I saw Mike Clevenger throw a game the other day. Like, that gets a little bit weird in the sense that I do not see Mike Clevenger get booed at random ballparks. Division, no problem. I get it. It's division. That's what you do. But like, why am I watching a Yankees game and y'all are booing? Yankees? You guys. What? Like, what are we doing here? I think that sometimes is a little bit frustrating. And I think a lot of Padres fans feel the same way. I think in general, playing the moral superiority clause, let's call it, when it comes to PEDs is very weird. Right, in terms of you saying, well, couldn't it be my team? It's like, actually it could. It's everybody's team. So I think that is a little bit unfair, but bottom line is it's there, right? And I think that he's done a really good job of he was apologetic. He has done everything the managers have said. He has showboated, but in a way that's been a lot more toned down and justified whenever he does do it, right? He just it's like he's just more stoked now, rather than being
in a league
a little
that's
bit...
also way more cool with celebrations. I watched Randy Arozarena. He hit a huge monster grand slam yesterday, and I mean, there was a dance to first, there was a pull up J going into third. Like, hey,
Mariners fans were having a party.
I am pro it. If you hit a big grand slam against a division rival, I love it. I'm a big fan of bringing that energy, and I think you kind of nail it. Where it's like, I haven't heard a lot about Tatis, and that's kind of a good thing in the sense of like, when for a bit it was motorcycles, PEDs, while kind of being a budding face of the league. But I mean, I think that there's still plenty of reason to believe in the upside, and it sounds like it's the right type of way to be handling this. It's kind of a maybe, I don't love throwing around this word because I've never met these people, I've never been around, a maturing, maybe, something like that type of thing. But he's a guy that is a total blast to watch. I mean, there's so many fun players on the Padres, and I'm not afraid to say that. Let's put a bow on this thing here with little predictions and just kind of look maybe a little bit big picture on, can the Padres build on this start? Can the Rockies salvage this thing? Well, that'll be coming up next right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Technically don't know if I need to play both of those because I've never been in a situation where we have those, but in case you're enjoying some just a real quick whiplash there of graphics, that's how we do things. But anyway, Locked On Rockies, Locked On Padres here, bringing you your final segment of the day on this Friday, getting ready for a good matchup. I mean, German Marquez in the 4 spot's kind of surprising still for me for the Rockies. I'm still shocked to see him there given the rotation, but maybe again the concerns about the health, adding maybe actually, one of your better options to the back end to help the Rockies as they kind of navigate through things. Herman hasn't blown the doors off, and he's looking for a rebound after a real tough start against the Oak. I've now done it like 3 times, I think, since talking about the A's. But at the same time, I think the one weird factor that Padres fans don't always usually consider unless they're on the road is it was like 30 degrees and snowing for most of the A's Rockies series. And German came and had 6 walks in that game. And he said, I literally couldn't feel the ball. So I think that's pretty important when it comes to pitching. And I think going to the nice, friendly, warm places of San Diego might help there. Herman's no stranger to going to San Diego and pitching there either.
What a sport, man. Like, do you ever think about that? Like, just the random stuff that occurs in baseball more than ever. It's like, you remember when Jabba Chamberlain just got attacked by ants, and then everyone was like, well, you got to pitch, man. Like, if this was the NBA, they'd be like, we're calling after the game. What are we doing? What's going on here? The NFL would be like, everyone get out. Yeah.
We got stadiums that used to have hills in the middle of them. We used to have different rules depending on where you played.
Vines. We have some stadiums where you just hit the ball like 150 feet and it's a home run. Other stadiums, it's like impossible. Like with,
there's 2 teams playing. There's 2 Major League Baseball teams not playing in Major League ballparks this year.
And one of them is because of awful circumstances.
Of course.
The other one is because a billionaire decides to sabotage his team for 25 years and can't even get the team to move to the other team, the other place that he wanted to yet. He's still trying to figure that out, right? So, like,
awful situations all around.
just awful situations and crazy.
You take the
sport.
natural disaster, or you take the disaster of an ownership there. But
Yeah.
I just want to, we'll do a quick little preview as folks are accustomed to. But I am curious. I mean, the Padres opening up at the top of the NL West. I mean, people talk about how long baseball season is, but in this division, that lead and any games against the division matter, right? I mean, you can't really afford to squander an opportunity like this to find yourself at the top. I know the Dodgers and everyone are right behind you, but like, if you have that top spot, the longer you hold it, the better it is for you.
It's actually really crazy that the Padres, they play San Francisco at the end of the month, right? This will be the first series, the Rockies, in which it was a game against the division. And then they play against the Giants at the end of the month. And then after that, it's Colorado. And then they don't play Arizona even all of May, right? Like, that's what's so interesting. And then in June, they play San Francisco. And they finally play Arizona and then the Dodgers in June, which is more like I bring that up only because those were the two teams that were expected. That everyone's like, oh yeah, these two teams are going to be stacked. Padres and Giants. We'll see what happens. Padres with the star power. But now it's looking like all of these teams are going to be crazy. And what's funny is like the D-backs haven't had a great start record-wise. Nobody is like, oh yeah, panic time. No, everyone knows it's like they're actually just being normal. I don't know what's going on with the Padres, Giants, and Dodgers. So we know with the Dodgers, but like, it turns out if you spend $1.5 billion every offseason, you're pretty good.
Pretty effective.
Yeah, right. You'll be pretty good in the regular season. But with the Padres and Giants, everyone's like, whoa, calm down. Like, you don't have to, you're just going to win every game. Okay. So NL West, I really think that we say it every year, man. We've been saying it for a long time, frankly. It's really possible you could see 3 playoff teams from this division. I really do. I think that you consider the fact that some people don't think the Mets are going to be as good. The Braves have been a little bit of a mess.
They might be the craziest storyline to start the season.
Yeah, they might be. You and I talked about it on the show this week, actually, on Squad Show. Like, it's possible that we're looking at, and it's been a long time since it's happened, a 3-team playoff spots in this division. And what's crazy is it could be any of them, right? It could be the Dodgers. It could be
4 out of 5.
Yeah, 4 out of 5, I should say. It could be any of them with the Giants, D-backs, and Padres. And it's genuinely like kind of like a coin flip, right? Like, everyone's just like picker's chance. I mean, dealer's choice, whatever you want to call it. I think all of these teams have been awesome, and it's great for the sport. But I once again would plead with the other divisions, please try. I'm so tired of only the NL West trying. NL Central, Pittsburgh, we need you. You have the Steelers. Come on, ask them for a couple bucks. They're like 3 blocks away. Come on, like, figure it out. You know what I mean? But
dude, 90 wins can win the Central Division, man. That's all you need. I mean, and it's going to be really interesting to see how this division beats up on each other. And as we pointed out, I mean, none of the teams in the NOS can afford to lose to the Rockies. There can't be a weird thing where the Rockies are coming and beating you. Like, if you're like, of course we want to pull off the upset. We want to play spoiler. Of course, I don't want the Rockies to lose to division rivals, but like, if you are the Dodgers, and obviously they're not that worried, but it's like any loss you take to the Rockies and really any loss you take to anybody in the NL West can cost you position here. And again, you can't sleep if the Giants are off to a hot start. You can't sleep on them because they're weird, but it's an odd year, so I don't really know how much to buy into them. So it's like these division matchups. It's going to be really interesting to see when this season shakes out. I think you're going to have to go back and look at how did the NL West play or fight against each other, because that is going to determine who are going to be those playoff teams. And you're right, 3 of them could make it, because I think a lot of teams are going to have to really start impressing to get on the level of some of these NL West teams. And for the Rockies, they are going to have to start making some decisions and really embracing it. You're either going to have to go full youth movement, or you're going to have to start looking at this offseason as a way to build, make some trades, free up some spots, and then go and spend some money and build and add to the pieces that you really believe in. Because right now, you just can't afford another season of, do we do this? Do we do that? Are we going to fully do this? You need to see and figure out what you're going to do with this outfielder situation. You need to see what some of these young arms and what you have are going to be able to do for you. You need to decide what you're going to do for the future of German Marquez. Are you going to bring him back after this year? Would you maybe move him at the trade? Like, this trade deadline should be a very, very, very busy one for the Colorado Rockies. And I mean, I know we're already getting there, but that's kind of the realities of these two teams. But to reel it back in, as we put a bow on this thing, Javi, let's just do the classic predictions here. Unfortunately, I've done a few crossovers. I've yet to pick the Rockies to win a series. They haven't won a series. And I'm not going to start now. As much as weirdness as there is, I don't have a ton of faith on this Rockies team to go out and hit on the road. A California road trip is a dangerous thing for this team. Obviously, I think that the weirdness of this rivalry, because I do think the Rockies might get to hold on to at least being rivals with the Padres and Diamondbacks.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. They get to.
But I think that like we mentioned, if those injuries are a bigger deal, that opens the door for the Rockies, and they need to impress on the road and do some stuff that they haven't done so far this year. But just going with the gut, but I will say, the Rockies have yet to be swept, and I think they will at least avoid a sweep, and they can steal one there because they got good defense, and when the offense wakes up, they have done damage, but it's been inconsistent.
Yeah, and the one win could come against Kyle Hart, who's expected to start the second game of this series. Chase Dollander, that could be a fun game, by the way.
Yeah.
That could be a
Saturday
wild
ball.
game. Young prospect, and then a guy who's just making his return back to MLB. Kyle Hart looked pretty okay in his first start, but he's still figuring out his pitch mix, and he got obliterated by the Cubs on Sunday, only lasting 2 outs before having to be taken out. How the Padres won that game? Bullpen. That is the big advantage that the Padres will have this series, bar none. Even if they do not have Tatis and Cronenworth and Merrill, they have the best bullpen in baseball right now, and I don't think that is something that is going to change dramatically against this Rockies team. But with the Kyle Hart start, that makes me nervous. And Nick Pivetta, also amazing in his first start, lasted really long, didn't walk anybody really. He was amazing. But what do we get out of him back here at Petco? He's a good pitcher, but is he just going to be an innings eater guy that teams like to have? Or is he going to take another step forward the way that I personally think he can, with his strikeout rate increasing significantly over the past 2 seasons? He's top 15 in strikeout rate among all starting pitchers. So we'll see if he could do that against this Rockies lineup. And Michael King. I think we get a Michael King gem. I do. I think that he's been biding his time. He's had some good moments, but I think we get our first. Yes, that's the 2024 Michael King that we all know and love. I think we get that this series. If it doesn't, it might truly be what I've been feeling, which is just going to take him a little bit of time to get back into his kind of swing of things. But I'm worried about that Kyle Hart start. And in general, man, we'll have to see what these injuries. If the injuries persist, I ask everybody to go check out Oscar Gonzalez. He had his first game with the Padres recently, and he had about my eyes popped out. And it could just be an eye test thing, but he hit the ball pretty hard twice. He hit 2 singles, but he leaps out almost, it feels like, to that ball when he swings the bat. I liked what he looked like in just one game. So if you see him again, he's the random guy for Padres fans to kind of keep an eye on, and Rockies fans too. Otherwise, we'll see, man. We'll see. This is going to be fun because it is the weirdness of the Rockies, just the dark magic that they have cast upon us, man. It's like a friend of mine in my fantasy football league that like always beats me, and he can't draft to save his life, but he always beats me, right? Like that's kind of what we're at right now. I can't wait, man. It's always fun. Some good old weekend baseball in Petco. Hopefully that'll give them the advantage though, and that let's say unpredictability of course field, that they won't have to worry about that. They'll be like, you know what? The ball isn't going to go, 70 feet in the air.
In those giant outfield alleys as well. And I mean, the Rockies struggled against good pitching. And if it's a close game and the bullpen's the strength of the Padres, good luck, Colorado. Folks, that's going to do it for us today here on Locked On Rockies and Locked On Padres. You got to find us on your favorite streaming services and on the Locked On Rockies and Locked On Padres podcast. You can see our socials there on the screen, so you can find us there as well. But thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day. For your second listen of the day, go check out our pal Sully on the Locked On MLB podcast. And until next time, folks, this is Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Podcast Network.